And I didn't want to focus too much. The worst case scenario for me is that she becomes some kind of true crime cult figure. I'm always really wary of affording people who do evil too much time and focus, because I think you run the risk of glamorizing the atrocious acts that they commit. So instead, I wanted to talk about the lessons that can be learned. And the reason for that is there's an exclusive in The Guardian today where Dr. Stephen Brearley, who is a whistleblower in this case, has accused the Countess of Chester Hospital Trust of being negligent and failing to properly address concerns he and other doctors raised about Letby as she carried out her killings. Well, joining us to discuss this is Scarlett McGwire, who is former communications advisor to the Labour Party. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. What are the lessons that should be learned from this case moving forward, do you think?
It is all about whistleblowers, isn't it? I mean, that clearly, thank goodness, the number of people like Lucy Letby is vanishingly small. But there are problems. There are problems of mistakes, and there are problems of people doing things wrong on purpose in all hospitals, right? And what we have to do, what the hospital administrators at the top have got to do, is they have got to listen when people say that they're worried about sloppiness, they're worried about systems that don't work. Now, years ago, I was involved in a case that looked very similar to this, where a consultant obstetrician held a dead baby in her arms and thought, this is the second time I've done it in 2 or 3 weeks. There is something going wrong. And immediately she went, the chief executive instigated an inquiry. Thank goodness that actually nothing had gone wrong. It was just terrible, terrible bad luck. But actually, that's what should happen, is that when you get somebody like that who really, really knows, these very experienced consultants think, there is something wrong here, that actually you investigate instead of saying, no, think what this will do to our reputation. So I mean, I really think that what we've got to do is we've got to have hospitals who are willing to say things might have gone wrong and we need to look at it.
How much of this do you think is a systemic failure to listen to those who do raise concerns? And how much do you think it's about a culture of people who might be inclined to blow the whistle being fearful of being seen as disruptive in the first place?
Oh, I mean, I think that you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think that it's not just that they feel disrupted, that they feel they might be treated as disruptive, is they are treated as disruptive. And actually, I mean, what the problem is that there is the systemic failure is the failure to be able to say we make mistakes. I mean, years ago, during the last Labour government, there was a department set up to actually look at failures, right? And when the press got hold of the first report, it was a disaster, because it was, look at these terrible things that have happened. Now, I spoke to the chief executives, and they said that this is what we were set up to do. We were set up to look at things that went wrong and how we could learn from it. And instead, there's a culture throughout the health service that you mustn't admit to failure. And actually, you see it over and over again. I mean, you see it in these terrible stories of, births that went wrong because somebody made a mistake and the hospital takes 3 years to admit it instead of saying sorry right away. I mean, that's where we have to move from, is that we have to say, anybody can make a mistake, right? Anybody can make a mistake. I mean, the best trained doctor, the best trained nurse, they can always make a mistake. No system is completely foolproof. We can't invent it. But what we have to say is, this is a mistake, and try and remedy it instead of covering it up.
Scarlett McGwire, thank you so much, former communications advisor to the Labour Party.